Welcome to the Chief Architect Bathroom Design webinar. In today's video, we're going to describe how to design this bathroom you see on your screen. There's a variety of bathrooms you can take a look at on the Chief Architect website. Some of them have the sample plans already associated with them, as well as a video. In addition to the 3D renderings you can create with Chief Architect, you'll also find the CAD and drafting tools to create your floor plans, your elevations, your cross sections, and schedules such as cabinet, window, or room finish schedule. So let's go ahead and get started with our bathroom. This is the inspiration photo that we have found for our bathroom today, and this is an overview of the completed design. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the program. As I open up the program in Chief Architect, our menu system has walls, doors, windows, cabinets, electrical, staring tools, ceiling tools, our CAD tools, and of course our 3D design tools. To begin with, I'm going to use my wall tool and I'm going to create a rectangular room shape. And you'll notice as I'm dragging out my wall here that you'll see a dimension being displayed. I'm not going to worry too much about that until I finish the shape. Now I'm going to choose an automatic exterior dimension tool and place our dimensions. To resize our room, I can click on the wall, slide that in. I can also select the dimension. Let's go ahead and set that to 26 feet. And again, click on the wall, drag it to your desired location, dimensions update. You can also precisely locate it. So I'm going to set that up to be 10 feet. And I've got a 10 by 26 room. I'm going to use my 3D camera tool here, take an overview. And while you're in this view, of course, you can continue your design work. I'm going to select a door tool, click and place the door. When you have that in your design, you can position it, you can resize it. And if I double click on the door, you'll notice that there is a dialog, a panel, with several tabs along the top that you can control different items. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a glass style door from our selection. And I'm also going to set the width to be 72 inches. And you notice if I go through a few of these other tabs along the top, you control the casing, the lintel, the sill, the frame, the detail for the hardware, arch, and there's a lot of options. We'll explore a few of those when we get into our window and cabinet tools. I'm going to go ahead and slide our door over just a little bit. When I go back into my 2D view, we'll precisely locate that. Windows work the exact same way. If I place a window, again, you can position that, you can resize it. And just like our door, if I double click on it, you have the ability to change all of the information about that. So for this window, let's go ahead and I'm going to leave that as a fixed glass window. And the width 36, and I'm going to change the height of this window to 60 inches. And then I'm also going to adjust the floor to bottom to 90 inches. And one more thing, since this is the interior window, you'll notice in my preview panel, I have a sill on that. So let's go to our lintel and sill. I'm going to toggle over here to the interior portion of the window, and I'm going to remove the sill. And you notice if I click that, you will see an update in the panel. Any of the changes that I make will automatically provide that update. Select OK. And now we see our window and our door in the 3D view. Now, our bathroom, we don't want to have a base molding, and I also want to apply tile. And before I get to that, real briefly, I'm going to click in the center of this room, highlights, and I'm going to double click on it. When I started my design, let's go into our structure tab. When I started my design, I actually had set my ceiling height to a 9-foot ceiling. You can see in the diagram on this panel off to the side. If you want to set your individual room defaults, raise a ceiling, lower a floor, in a multi-floor design, you can do that. And there's a lot of other details that I'm not going to get into. If you want to address the floor structure, the ceiling structure, and set all of those dimensions, you have the ability to do that. As long as I'm in the room panel here, I'm going to go into the moldings tab. I'm just going to remove the base molding out of here. And I'm also going to name this a master bath from our drop-down list. Choose master bath. Select OK. And there is the bathroom layout. Let me go back into my library here, and I'm just going to grab a quick tile in my materials, and we'll just spray that on the flooring. I'm going to get into making that look a little bit differently as soon as I get in there. So the next step I want to do is I actually have a photo here. Let me grab that. I've used this photo as my inspiration, so I'm going to try to match these colors, this layout. And I've actually already pre-designed this, and you can see the result of the renderings here that we're going to lay out. So this is what I'm going to proceed to do, and you'll notice in the design here I have a few walls that separate the different areas between the sink area, the bathtub area, and the shower area. So to do that, I'm going to use my wall tool, and I'm going to select a few walls, and I'm just going to come in here and create a couple of division areas that we can set up. I'm going to return back into my plan view. I'll actually bring up both of these views at the same time here. Let me just maximize my plan view. Many of you watching the video are probably interior designers. And let's run our interior dimensions. I'm going to change my dimension default. So I can select an interior dimension tool. And with the interior dimension tool, I'm just going to run a dimension all the way through here and create our interior dimension. And if you zoom in on this dimension, it's actually going to the sheetrock. You'll notice in this blue wall, let me just highlight that real quick, there's actually a number of layers that make up this wall. Most of you won't care about that, but Chief Architect includes a materials list, so the layers that make up this wall, there's 5 total layers that range from the siding on the outside, the wrap, the 2x6, and then the 1/2-inch sheetrock. So my dimension is going to the sheetrock to sheetrock. So let's go ahead and lay out our walls. First wall, I want to have the interior dimension to be 123 inches. So I'm just going to select that. Let's go ahead and slide our window over. Now one of the tools that you'll find to make things easy is a center tool. So I've got that window selected. I'm going to select in that area of the room and press center, and that will exactly center that window. Let's do the same thing for our door over here. Center tool in the center of this room. Let's select this wall. Again, if you want to slide the wall over, you can do that. You can also highlight the dimension, and let's set that to be 96 inches. And I've got my dimension set up. Let's use our end-to-end dimension, and we'll go from wall to wall here. And we'll just drag that across. So we've got 300 inches or 25 feet. And let's do the same thing over here. And we'll just drag that dimension over. So we've got the interior dimension at 108 inches. So now we know how much wall space we have to work with. Let's recenter that window inside that room. Okay. If I bring up the 3D rendering of the completed design, you'll notice these 2 interior walls that we created actually don't go through the entire room. Let's make that same adjustment on the plan that we're developing. These 2 walls that we have, I'm going to use a break tool, and I'm going to notch out the center of these walls. I'm not going to pay too much attention to the exact location. We'll set those dimensions here in a little bit. I'm going to select each one of those wall segments, double-click to open them up, and I'm going to mark those as invisible, and I'm also going to mark this option that doesn't give it room definition. and that will allow me to still keep my complete square footage. So now you can see in our plan view that the walls have the openings through that, and then back in the 3D view you can see that the wall openings are created. And again, I'll go back in and add those precise dimensions. Let's bring up our rendering again and see if I can find our photo. So this is our inspiration for our colors and materials and somewhat the room layout. And I'm going to try to match a tile for the floor and the wall. There's not a lot of contrast there. You'll also notice that for the shower area there's an inlay of wood. We'll try to use a cedar material for that. So back into our design, what I'm going to do is open up our library. And inside the library of Chief Architect, you'll find a little over 75,000 items. These are composed of Chief Architect library items that are non-branded. And there are also manufacturer catalogs that range from cabinet manufacturers, door and window manufacturers, paint companies, surface companies. And these are all component catalogs you can download off of our website. In my user catalog, this is a collection of favorites or maybe items that I have built over time. And I can show you how we can add stuff into our library. But I've created a folder called the Sauna Bath. And these are some materials that I've already selected. And I've found a dowel tile wall covering that I want to use. So I'm going to select that material and I'm going to apply it onto our flooring. So you can see the result of it. And then I've also got a wall covering and I'm going to apply that onto our walls. Now, let's toggle back into our photo. You'll notice that the tile on our floor is quite a bit longer. Let's make that same change on the flooring that we have here. I'm going to double click with the rainbow tool, which is actually called Define Material. It's this rainbow tool right here. And on the pattern, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this, actually on the Texture tab, I'm going to change the scale of that to be a little bit longer than it is wide. So I'm going to adjust that to be 54 by 24. And take a look when I make that adjustment in our rendering scene. You can see how the tile now adjusts. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the wall tile. Come in here and I'm going to make that much longer than it is wide. And we'll set that up. So now that material is a little bit more similar to the photograph. The next thing I want to do is I want to create an inlay of a molding like this glass tile. That's pretty easy in Chief Architect. I'm going to select our room. And if you recall early on in the video, we went into our moldings tab and we removed our base molding. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use our base molding, but I'm actually going to convert that to a chair rail. And for the chair rail, I'm going to set the molding height to be 24 inches. And the width, which is the thickness, we'll set it to be 1/4 inch so we can actually see it in the rendering here. And we'll set that to be 40 inches to the bottom to the 24-inch band. And I'm going to select OK. And now you can see the molding that has been created in here. Now all I have to do is go back into the catalog and let's see if I can find some glass tile in here. Let's go back up into our materials, find our tile, and click on our glass tile strip. And I found a tile that is somewhat similar. We'll zoom in here. And when I applied that, it applied it at a vertical orientation. Let's use our Define Material tool again. And let's go in here and let's adjust that angle to be 90 degrees rotated. And we'll do the same thing on the Pattern tab. The Pattern tab is if you're doing a elevation view, you're going to see a better representation of that. So there is the chair molding, and I've got the basic materials set up to start with the colors that match the photo. The next step is to add our cabinets, and I want to lay out our cabinets and fixtures that is similar to our completed design you see on the screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close down our 3D perspective view, and now I'm going to use my wall elevation camera, and I'm going to create a wall elevation simply by dragging that tool through the wall in our plan view. Now with our base cabinet tool, I'm going to click and place a base cabinet. These work just exactly like doors and windows. You can click on them, you can resize them. And if I double click on that object, you have the ability to control everything about that cabinet. So I'm going to go through and make some changes to this and set it as my default cabinet so I can lay out the rest of the cabinets. So let's go through and make a few of the changes. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to set the height of our cabinet to be 24 inches. And then I'm going to change the floor to bottom to be 12 inches. So I want that to be elevated off of the floor. The width of the cabinet, I'm going to set this up to be my sink base, so I'm going to set that to be 39 inches. And then on the depth, I'm going to change that to 21 inches. For the countertop, you can specify either inches, centimeters, whatever you're comfortable with. And let's go ahead and I'll make that 3 centimeters. It'll convert it to inches for me. And there's several other options down here on the toe kick. Let's go ahead and remove that. We don't need a toe kick with that being elevated. And on the front, you have the ability to control the face frame items, if it's frameless or full framed or frameless. And then you can choose the dimension for those different options. On the door and drawer styles, let me change that. If you go into the library, you can choose either Chief Architect style cabinet doors, or you can choose manufacturer cabinet doors. Let's come down into our manufacturers. And you can choose the different door and drawer styles in here. So for now, I'm actually just going to select a basic slab door and a basic slab drawer. However, one of the things that I do want to upgrade on the cabinet is our hardware. So in the hardware settings, let's go ahead and open up my favorites library for our cabinet hardware. And for the drawer, I want to have a long horizontal pull. And I'm actually going to set that down from the top to be 1.5 inches. Again, it's maybe tough to see that in your preview, but it moves it up on the drawer. I'm going to do the exact same thing for the drawer. Let's go into our library again, and I'm going to look for a vertical pull for those doors. So there's our vertical pull, and I'm going to leave the positioning of that as it is. So once I select OK, our cabinet will update with those defaults, and I'm actually going to set that as my default cabinet, so as I place more cabinets it will appear to be that way. Let me switch my view to a render view. This is a vector view, and you can toggle the colors on or off. I can also turn on a glasshouse view so you can see through items, and I have standard render view. And what I want to do is I want to grab this cabinet and I'm going to borrow the color from our backsplash tile. I'm going to make that a light blue. So to do that, I'm going to grab our material definition tool, and let's go ahead and select our texture. And with that color, I can bring this eyedropper anywhere on the screen. You can bring up a digital photo, a website, and you can match that color. So there is the blue from the backsplash. Select OK, and now I can set that as my default cabinet. Anytime I place another cabinet, it's going to have all of those same attributes for the design. Let's go ahead and switch back to our vector style view. So I'm going to place one more cabinet over here next to the wall, and I'm going to slide that over and make it a 15-inch cabinet. And let's double click on it and I'm just going to simply come in here on the face items. When I click on the face items, it moves me to the front tab. I'm going to delete the drawer, and I'm going to delete the drawer. If you want to add new elements, you can use this add option and we'll add your face items in there. Now that I've removed those two items, I'm going to select in here and I'm going to specify our shelves, and I'm going to manually override my default, and we'll just make that 2. If you want to control the spacing of those, you can do that as well. So there is our opening cabinet. I'm going to take that cabinet. I'm going to use my copy tool, and I'm going to use a reflect about the center of that room and place a cabinet on the other side. Now the original large cabinet that we created, I'm going to slide that over, and I can also use the same copy and reflect about the center of the room and place that over there. And finally, I'm going to place one more cabinet right in the center of the room. You'll notice that when I do that, it automatically updates it and fits it into the space. I'm going to double click on that cabinet, and let's go ahead and let's remove our double doors down here. I'm going to click the delete key, and let's adjust this drawer to be 4 inches. And now I want to come in here and use the add function, and I want to create another drawer. So I'm going to go in here, select add a new drawer, and then we'll just convert that to a drawer as well. Change that from an opening. So there's my bank of drawers. So I pretty quickly laid out my cabinets here, and you saw how easy it was. Let me use my dimension tool, and let's create a couple of dimensions on our cabinets. I'm going to come in here and just pull one dimension line through here. That'll get our boxes. And then when I add my fixtures for our sinks, we'll put our centerline dimensions in. One final thing before I add the 2 sinks, I'm going to select our 2 sink-based cabinets. Got both of them selected. I'm going to double click on them. And I don't want to have this drawer. So I'm going to highlight the drawer, click the delete button, and remove it. So it automatically updates. And by the way, Chief Architect is layer-based. You'll notice on our cabinets I have an opening indicator for our doors. If I open up my layers, go down to my opening indicator, toggle that layer off, you'll see that that automatically updates so that the opening indicator doesn't display. You can do the same thing with electrical, stair tools, HVAC, if you want to clean up those views and only see what you're after. I'm going to open up the library, and in my folder I've got a fixtures area. Again, I'm just working in a small subset of the overall library in my favorites. So from my fixtures, I'm going to go into my bathroom, and I'm going to find a vessel and a faucet sink. You see a preview down here of that item. I'm going to go ahead and click and place that. I'm going to purposely click it just off the center of the cabinet. If you want to center that on the cabinet, use the center tool and click and place it. I'm going to use my copy and reflect about tool. So again, use the copy tool and the reflect about, center of the room, and place the other sink there. Now the next step I want to do is I'm going to add a couple of mirrors and our electrical for the outlets and also our wall-mounted lights. I want a very specific mirror shape, so I'm just going to draw my own with a slab tool, and then we'll make that into a mirror. So I'm going to come in here and create the shape that I'm after, and I'm going to adjust the dimension here. Let's make it basically a 30-inch wide mirror, and we'll make that 42 inches. Let's go ahead and select that and make it 42. So I've got that set up to be 42 by 30. So again, center tool, center on the sink base. Use the copy and reflect about tool. These are great tools to make your productivity very efficient with Chief Architect. So I've got my 2 mirrors set up, and now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to search for a GFCI outlet. We'll place a couple of those. Find the GFCI, we'll come in here, place the outlet. Now you can highlight these and pull them down and adjust them. If you double click on them, you have the option to set the height off the floor, the distance, as well as resize them if you have a custom outlet. Let's go ahead and leave that. And let's go ahead and center that on the cabinet. And I'm going to go ahead and create a couple of copies of this. I'm going to use a multiple copy tool and 54 inches. And I'm just going to create a couple other copies. Those are exactly centered on the smaller 15-inch cabinets. Back into the library, and I want to find our lighting fixture. And I've saved one in my folder here. And I'm going to find the light. And we'll come in and place that. Let's go ahead and pull that up here just a little bit. I'm not going to worry too much about the exact dimension. I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did the outlet. I'm going to center it on the cabinet, use the multiple copy tool. It's at 54 inches, and we'll create a copy of that light. So I've got that exactly centered. Now, the final step that I'm going to do in this wall elevation here is I'm going to add our dimensions. So let's go back in, and first of all, I'm going to use my centerline dimension tool. So with the dimensions and centerline, let's go ahead and drag a copy of that through. Oh, there we go. Drag a copy of that through our sink fixtures. And pull that down. And if you happen to miss an element, I missed the wall, let's go ahead and pull that over to the wall. Add that dimension on there. And the next thing I'm going to do for the center line, let's go ahead and let's double click on the center line, and I want to check electrical so I can pick up those lights. We'll use our center line tool, pull that through here, and I've got my center line for our electrical. Now the next step is to go ahead and grab the mirrors. Use the dimension tool, and we'll just go ahead and drag through here and grab our mirrors. Pull that up. And now let's use the end-to-end dimension, or interior dimension. And let's go ahead and drag our dimension all the way through this wall elevation. Then we'll pull that up. So let's just go ahead and drag that all the way through here. Go ahead and pull that up. So there's our overall dimension for that. I can do the same thing on the horizontal. Let's go ahead and switch back to our elevation dimension tool, and we'll just go ahead and pull up our dimension there. Slide that over, and we'll use the end-to-end dimension, and it should be our 9-foot ceiling. Pull that over. Now that's taking away from the floor finish and the ceiling finish, so those aren't being displayed in this view right now. Let me add one more dimension for the total length. So I'm going to use the end-to-end dimension, and we'll just drag one all the way through here. And we'll go ahead and pull that up, so there's our 300 inches as well. The next step in the design is to create our tub platform and the custom flooring for the shower area. You can see in this rendering that I've created, the tub platform curves into the shower area. So let's take a look at how to do that here. Back in the elevation view, step one is to go ahead and grab our tub, and we'll place that in the room area. Let's go ahead and center that on the window. And I'm going to close the library and elevation view. Let's fill our screen here. So the first step that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull this tub out, and I'm going to set it out to be 6 inches away from the wall. Now I'm going to use a slab tool, same thing that I used for the mirrors. And I'm going to snap that into the inside of the sheetrock and come over here and place that. adjacent to the sheetrock on the other wall. Let's go ahead and highlight our dimension. I'm going to set that to be 50 inches. So that creates a surround. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull that over to about the midpoint or so of that area where our shower is. So you can see the shape of the platform right now. I'm going to select this angled edge, and I'm going to create a break approximately in the middle center point of that. Now on the upper section of that line, I'm going to select the midpoint in here, and I'm going to choose the arc tool. Now I'm going to select the other segment of that line, and I'm going to convert that to an arc. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull that in and modify it. Now you can, if I double click on that arc, let's go ahead and open that up, selected arc, here's where you can get the radius information. So you can make the adjustments, you can do the call out on your plan for your fabricators or your tile installer so that you have exact information on that. Let's go ahead and close that. So I've got the shape created for the tub platform. Let's toggle back into our rendering. And the next thing I want to do is I want to have the flooring for the shower exactly match the tub platform. And if I could do it a simple way where the material just goes underneath of the tub platform. But if I do this exact, my materials list that I generate for all the materials needed for this will be more precise. So let's go ahead. It's actually just about as easy to do it the right way. So I'm going to select the tub platform, and I'm going to use copy in place. You see that in the lower left-hand corner. It's going to create a copy of that tub platform exactly over the top of it, and I clicked it, it flashed. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab the copy, and I'm just going to pull that over like that. So I've got the flooring area and I've got the tub platform over here. Okay? Now, let's do one more thing in here. Let's select our tub platform and let's adjust the height of that. I'm going to set my elevation of the tub platform to be 20 inches, same thing for the thickness. So that's going to create a larger shape for it. And then I'm going to create a cutout for the tub with the same slab tool. I'll just grab that and reopen it. No, let's grab the slab we just created. Open that up and make it a hole. Let's go ahead and take our 3D view, and then we'll have to change our materials because we didn't have any material assignment. We also need to make the assignment here for our mirrors as well. Let's tile our view, and let's select this area here, and let's go ahead and set that elevation so we can see it in our 3D view. In the library, let's maximize that here. In the library, let's go ahead and find our materials. Open that back up. And let's find our cedar wood. We'll apply that in here. And the next thing I want to do is find the glass material. Let's see if we can find that glass material. And we'll apply that to the tub platform. So that's pretty easy to do. The next thing I want to set up is let's find our mirror material. So let's just type that in, find a mirror material, and then I can grab that and see if I've got another. Here we go. And I'm just going to spray that on the two mirrors over here so when I do my high-end rendering I can get the reflections out of it. Now, a couple things that you can do to increase the saleability of your renderings is so far this is a pretty bland rendering. If I toggle back to my completed one, you'll notice that I went as far as putting water in the bathtub. It's actually not that hard to do. Let me toggle my view right here. You saw how we created the tub platform with the slab tool. I'm going to go back in with the slab tool, and let's go ahead and we'll just come in here roughly and create an area for the water. And let me open that up. And I'm going to go ahead and set this to be about 12 inches. And that should show up fine. And now let's go back in and we'll apply the material to that. Find our color. spray paint it, use our material definition. And one of the neat things about Chief Architect is you'll actually find materials for a variety of things. So if I come down here and I choose transparent, I can come down and choose the type of material it is. And these are all accurate in how they reflect with light. So if you're choosing metals for your appliances or any of your fixtures, you can set that as well. So let's go ahead and set that up. Now this view is a basic render view. It's not as, if I toggle back to the ray trace view, it takes a little bit longer to generate that, but we do have a ray trace wizard built into Chief Architect that allows you to choose indoor, outdoor, good, better, best, and set the quality for that. And you'll notice the reflections in the mirror, the reflectivity of the stainless or the chrome on the fixtures to set that up. The next step I'm going to do with our design is I'm going to adjust these walls, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a bump out in this lower section adjacent to the door, an area for the sauna area. So let's close our library and our perspective view, and I'm going to press F6 to fill the screen. What I want to do with our sauna area is let's come in here and let's add our area for the sauna. I'm just using the wall tool here. And back into our dimensions. We use our interior dimensions. Let's go ahead and drag a dimension through here. Pull that out. And one more this way. Let's go ahead and slide that over. And I want to go ahead and set this dimension to be 48 by 72. So I'm just going to select the wall, enter in 48 inches. Select the other wall. Again, if I wanted to just pull it over, I could do that. And we'll set that to be 72 inches. Now the next thing I want to set up is I want this area for the sauna to be centered in between the two walls that protrude into the room. So I'm going to select all three of the walls, use the center tool, just click in the center of that room, and now it's centered. Let's go ahead and pull that dimension over now that we've centered that. I'm going to go ahead and make a few other adjustments into the walls. Let's go ahead and turn that layer off for our camera so we don't see that cross-section camera that we did our wall elevation. We'll just toggle that off. To adjust these walls, let's go ahead and pull this wall back so that it matches our countertop. You can see the dashed line represents the cabinet box. So I'm just going to go ahead and snap that back in here so that it's, let me double click on it, and I want to set it to be exactly 22.5 inches. And we'll pull that invisible wall back. So now that exactly matches. Let's come over here and grab this wall. And we'll just pull that out to be something like 40 inches or so. And let's pull our invisible wall back. Sounds funny, invisible wall. All it is a room definition. I'm going to set this wall here to be something like 26 inches. Actually, let me just pull that back this way. Sometimes it's easier to type in the dimension if you know it. Let's go ahead and set that to be 26 inches. And we'll toggle that on to be the end. Pull this wall back over. And again, I'm not going to worry too much about this one. We'll just make it approximately the same. Okay, so I've got those walls set up. And if I go into the 3D view, many of you may not care about the exterior walls, but really the only exterior wall that I care about on this design is this outside wall. So I'm just going to highlight the different walls. I'm just going to come in here and shift click the different walls, and I'm going to make those interior 6 walls. You can choose from a variety of wall types, whether you're using glass block, a glass shower, interior walls that are simply sheetrock, 2x4, and other sheetrock. Or in this case, I'm going to use a interior 6 wall, which is 3 layers, the sheetrock, 2x6, and the other sheetrock. This is pretty helpful if you want to get the details of the materials list, so I can get the information on how much sheetrock may be required. And if you're also going to do the framing, you can get that detail as well. So we'll go ahead and update those wall styles. You'll notice that my texture on my exterior goes away. It's still on this one over here. So The next thing I want to do is for our sauna area, I'm going to place a door in here. Let's go ahead and highlight that door. And I'm going to choose a glass style door. And I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and switch the swing side of that so you can switch it around and pull that over there so that opens into the inside of the room. In our library, let's find a few more accessories in here. I should have a sauna heater that I've saved in here. Go ahead and place our sauna heater. And let's place the remainder of our fixtures here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my plan view. It's a little more accurate sometimes to place some of these. Let's find our shower and faucet. Here's my faucet for my tub. Zoom in. Let's grab our faucet over here. Place that faucet. We'll rotate it around. Use the center tool. We'll center it on the tub. And if we zoom in here, I'm just going to go ahead and pull that closer in so that that waterfall style fixture drops into the tub. And we'll come over here and place a couple of our shower fixtures. Here's my shower head. We'll come over here and place our shower head. Pull our 3D view over so you can see what that looks like. And I need a faucet. Here's our faucet. And we'll just center that basically over here on the shower head. Now, each one of these elements, if you double click on them, you can control the dimensions. So you can see my dimension on floor to bottom is 48 inches. And on the shower head, you can see what the dimensions are. So it's very easy to specify exactly what you're going to do. And then also in our elevation view, we can dimension to the center lines of those fixtures. One more thing, let's go ahead and add a strip drain in here. Let's grab our strip drain, we'll place that. Let's rotate that around over here. And we'll pull that over. I'm not going to worry too much about the size. And then let's grab our two fixtures over here. Use my copy tool, and we'll just come over here and place those fixtures, rotate them around. Let's pull those out here, snap it to the wall. So I've got a fixture on each side. And finally, the two other fixtures that I want to place are the toilet and a bidet. So I'm going to close down the 3D view, and I'm going to take a wall elevation, just like we did on our cabinets. Let's cut a wall elevation through this wall, and we'll add those two fixtures in here. Let me scroll up and find our fixtures. Again, I'm just in my user catalog. This is my own copy of things that I use frequently. Let's come into our bathroom fixtures, and first thing I'm going to do is let's find our toilet, and we'll come in here and place our toilet, and find a bidet, place that. Now let's use our dimension tool, and let's go ahead and place our centerline dimension on these so we can position those accurately. Highlight this, and let's go ahead and set that to be 20 inches off the wall, and we'll do the same thing over here. Set that to be exactly 20 inches off the wall there. And let's find our actuator, place our actuator in here, and let's go ahead and pull that up somewhere that overlaps this item. I'm going to use my center tool onto the fixture, and we'll just copy that. And since we have that centered in the room, we'll just replicate it around. So there's our two fixtures in this area. And one of the things that you'll find in Chief Architect that's pretty handy, let me close this view down here. Save that. With the toilet and in-wall bidet that we have for the tank, let's go ahead and use our cross-section tool. I'm going to create a section that basically goes through the section on the end of this wall. And I know that this is our bidet and may not require the same tank requirements, but I'm going to assume that that's the same detail as our toilet. So I can go out to manufacturer websites and pull in CAD details. I can use the CAD tools in Chief Architect to draw my own, and then I can save those into the library. You can import a variety of formats into Chief Architect, DWG, DXF, and I've actually already gone out to the Gerbrit website and imported one of the details, and I've cleaned it up a little bit and I've saved it into my library. And with this cross-section tool, I can actually come in here. Let's just place the whole block, and we'll slide that over here. I'm going to go ahead and place the entire block that gives you both the side view of the detail and then a front-on elevation. Now, these details can be unblocked, which I'll go ahead and do, and I'm going to customize this a little bit. So I'm going to grab the detail that's in wall. Since I already have the cross-section with the bowl on it, let's remove the bowl off of our detail here. So I'm going to just hit the delete key. I'm going to reblock the rest of that detail that I have unblocked. And then I'm going to use what's called a point-to-point move so I can precisely locate that in the wall cavity. And in the detail here, this is the point of floor 0. And I'm going to assume for the purpose of this demo, that's my finished floor. So if I come over here, I'm going to highlight the detail. I'm going to use a point-to-point move. And I'm just going to come in here on the, I'm not going to worry about being overly precise for this. I'm going to come in where that meets the intersection and we'll snap that into place. So now I've got the detail of that section. Let's go ahead and pull our front section over. We'll just slide that over. I don't necessarily need that, but now I have that detail that I can send out to our layout page, and layout pages are what are used in Chief Architect to create your construction drawings. I'll bring one of those up here for you. So in the layout page, you can set your scale of different items. In the case of our floor plan, I've set my scale at 1/2 inch equals 1 foot. And then here, if I zoom in a little bit, here's the detail section of that, and you can add those details in there. Makes it pretty quick to overlay any CAD detail. If you don't have to draw something, I wouldn't spend the time on doing that. So back into our plan, I'm going to go ahead and close that view down. Let's take a 3D overview and let's do some final cleanup here on the design. Use my overview camera, and we'll rotate around. So I'm going to go ahead and use my eyedropper tool, and I'm going to select the material out of my shower area. I'm going to apply that into the floor on the sauna, and I'm also going to apply it onto the walls. And in my sauna, I don't want to have the baseboard, so I'm going to highlight the room, double click on it, and I'm going to come into the moldings tab, and I'm going to remove that base molding. You saw how we added the chair rail onto the wall, and it makes it pretty easy to do. In our cleanup, let's change our countertop material. I know that EnviroGlass has a pretty attractive folder that I've used before. And let's do a search for one of those materials. I happen to know the part number for the material I'm looking for is a BW16. Come in here. If I open that into the larger folder, it's in the EnviroGlass manufacturers, and here's BW16. And I can apply that to my cabinets, add a little more style to it. The next thing I'm going to do is let's make our window a glass block. Let's see if I can find a glass block material for our window. And we'll apply that into our window. I'm going to adjust that material here a little bit to clean that up. And that might look better in a wall elevation. Let's go ahead and close our library view. We'll zoom out. Now again, I've used my basic render view to get the style. And if I zoom in here, a couple little tricks that I like to do sometimes. If you want to see inside of your design for your clients, let's go ahead and a couple of tricks that I do. One is if I want to toggle some of these walls to be on or off, I'm going to create a small break in that intersection. Double click on the wall, choose that that wall is invisible. This is just a temporary thing. so then you can actually see in tight spaces and create your renderings. If I toggle back to my advanced ray trace view that I've created, you can see that I've toggled off several of the walls. I moved my door over here, and sometimes again it just makes it easy to create the view you're after. This is looking inside the bathroom. I toggled the end wall off and created the view. With the rendering styles in Chief Architect, there's a number of techniques you can do. We have this called vector view. You can toggle the color on or off and get different perspectives. You can even tile the pattern off. A glasshouse view sometimes is helpful. You can see through the cabinets in this case. It's more of a wireframe view. We have a technical illustration view. You can change these colors. So if you want to change the mix, the color scheme of this, you can change that. Let's go ahead and set that to be a little more of a pink view. That probably won't look very good, but gives you the idea of how that works. You'll find a watercolor view and a line drawing view. And these are just filters that you can apply to your rendering. Sometimes it's nice to have more of an artistic rendering so that you can set up and show these to your clients. Let's put line drawing on top of the watercolor. And some of these views take a little bit longer to generate, but it is nice to have the different options. And then you can save those off and provide those to your clients, put them on your website, and a couple other things. I've got a few views that I've actually generated of the design that I've spent a little more time on. Again, these are just toggling those views on and off. Get a nice crisp line drawing view that you can show to your clients. It's more a concept than using exact colors and materials, so that you can have more of the conversation about the layout and the flow of the rooms versus the colors and materials. And the more advanced rendering techniques will allow you to have those conversations. So more of the ray trace views, you can accessorize it. You'll notice in this view I went ahead and added some of the rugs in there. You can put accessories on the counter. And one of the great things you can do, you noticed how I built the tub platform, put the water in the tub. I can block all of those components and save them into my library and reuse them. So if I do spend very much time on creating any of the objects up front, I'm going to save it into my library and reuse it. And then I can take advantage of the time that I've spent and build up my portfolio. So that's all I have for today's webinar. I wanted to thank everybody for attending. There is the plan set you can download on the website. If you look under our samples gallery, you can rewatch the video and you can download the plan, see how it's done. And if you don't happen to be a Chief Architect customer, you can download a free trial version off of our website of either the full Premier version of Chief Architect or our interiors only version. Everything that I've done in this presentation is just using the interiors features for the most part. The Premier version is going to allow you to do framing and more of the roofing, and if you do any of the outdoors, there's a detailed comparison matrix on the website. Thanks for coming, watching the video, and if you have any questions at all, just give our sales team a call. Thanks.